What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Crew 2, and in this video I'm going to take a look at the BMW Z4 GT3. So currently I do believe this is the only BMW in the game, at least at the moment, that did get the handling update. And my goodness guys, Ubisoft really is onto something here with this. Like, it's honestly pretty insane how much better these cars actually are. Like, for example, the RB14 is honestly going to be a monster. Now we also have the Bentley Supersport as well. That car is definitely going to be miles better than what it was. And after doing a few test races in the Z4 after this update, I am most likely going to run this car in the future in summits. Like, I honestly think it's that good. I might even go as far as saying this car could probably be in like the top 5 when it comes to handling and/or stability, which I'm sure many players are most likely looking for this anyway when they're looking for a good car. It's kind of funny because I don't think I've ever actually used a Z4 in the past at all. This car might have shown up when you had to use in like a summit, but besides that though, I really don't think many players were probably running this car back in the day either, because I really don't think I saw anybody using it. I do have a feeling that is going to change now though, guys, because the Z4 does seem to be way better than what it was. I might even start using this car over the CCGT, which is probably going to sound kind of insane, but after doing a little test with the Z4, just in case you guys might have been wondering, I honestly did not know what the top speed of this car was, mainly because, well, I really haven't used this car much at all, so I really didn't even know what the top speed on this thing actually was. So after testing it out on a quick run, the car hit around 254 miles an hour, which is going to be basically on par with many of the other vehicles in this class. I did notice most of the touring vehicles do like 260-ish, so I don't think this thing's going to be slow in any way at all. Now, one thing I do want to mention though, when taking these vehicles on a track, guys, specifically the touring cars, at least when not using them on the US Speed Tour events, because obviously those could be a little bit longer, so having a higher top speed on longer events like that could definitely make a difference. But when driving these cars on a track though, I would say the top speed's really not going to matter. Most of the tracks in the game, you normally can't hit the top speed of the cars anyway, so I really don't think it's going to make that much of a difference going like 10 miles per hour slower. I do feel like some cars are definitely going to be better when it comes to handling, and that's one of the biggest things I noticed about the Z4. So when I first jumped into this car, I noticed immediately how the stability was. This car is honestly pretty incredible. Like, the way this thing can fly around a corner, it almost gives you a ton of confidence, maybe even too much in some ways as well. Like, I would actually pick this vehicle over the CCGT in some ways. Like, I really do like the way the car does handle. One of the main reasons why I say that though is the fact that the Z4 does actually feel like it has lots of agility as well, so you can basically whip the car back and forth, and it also really likes to do that at higher speeds as well. Like, I was flying around corners going over 200 miles per hour. One of the main reasons why I say that though with the BMW is the fact that this car really does feel like it has lots of agility as well, which normally some cars you do have to compensate and or lose something with them to make them better in some way. But to be honest with the Z4 though, I was finding myself flying around corners going like 200 miles per hour, and the car was having a really good time doing it. Not only that though, it wasn't struggling and or like sliding. It also really does give you loads of confidence as well, so I would definitely recommend taking a look at the Z4, guys. Like, this thing is honestly going to be something to really keep an eye on, especially in summits. One thing I also was noticing is the fact that it's going to be a 6-speed, so it basically felt super easy to keep this car in the right gear going around many of the corners, and that's probably one of the reasons why I like the CCGT so much as well. But one thing I was noticing with the Z4 though is it wasn't a bad thing to shift up. I was also being in a higher gear normally when going around the corner, so it gives you more speed when coming out of them. And we all know how some of the touring cars, when you hit the nitrous on them, some of the cars kind of lose speed, or they bounce off the rev limiter as well, making you basically lose speed and or not know if you need to shift it or not. So that's definitely something to keep in mind with some of the vehicles. But I really do feel like the Z4 is going to be lots of fun to use in summits and or racing. Like, I might actually jump into more touring car events with some of these vehicles that did get the handling update, just to see how good they can actually do. Like, just doing a few events in the GT3 here, I was managing to beat my old scores with the Renault, which is honestly kind of insane. Don't get me wrong, guys, some of those older touring cars are still probably going to remain some of the best in the game, but The way Ubisoft is actually updating some of these cars' handling is probably not only going to make many people happy, but also give a lot of people hope that some of the other cars will also get this treatment in the future. Like, can you guys imagine every single car in the touring car class having handling like this? I feel like that would almost eliminate the meta because every car is probably going to be good in their own way. And not only that though, this will also give many players a lot of different options to run different cars in summits, which I think this is going to make them a lot more fun. I'm sure many people are most likely tired of seeing the exact same 2 or 3 cars in every single event. In some ways, guys, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of the same way as well. I would like to see other vehicles being used, so having Ubisoft actually update some of these cars, I really do think is going to make all the summits a lot more fun because you can basically run any car of your choice and still get a really good score on these events, which I really do think is going to help them a lot. I'm looking forward to some of the summits in the future to see how some of these older cars with this new handling update are really going to affect them, because I'm not going to lie guys, I am most likely going to use most of these new, I guess, handling updated vehicles, for example like the Z4, even the Bentley for example as well, and apparently the Ferrari 599 also did get updated as well, which by the way, stay tuned for the rest of the vehicles because I am honestly having a blast testing these out. These cars are so much better than what they were, which I would say many players are probably going to admit that many of the other classes probably need the exact same thing, which honestly we might actually see more of these changes in the future, which I really do think is going to mix up the gameplay tremendously here on the Crew 2, which I really do think many players are going to be very happy with this handling update because it's definitely going to be showing what they can really do with many of the vehicles on the game. Like, these things are honestly so much better than what they were. Like, even the Super Sport's really good. The RB14's honestly insane. Now we have the Z4 that honestly has as good as handling and or stability as some of the best touring cars in the game, which probably might sound kind of insane, but I will definitely be trying this thing out more in the future, especially trying to see what it can do in the summits versus like the RS01 and or the Lamborghini as well. But my goodness guys, I definitely recommend trying out the Z4. Let me know your thoughts on this car in the comments below, and here are the settings I'm currently running on this vehicle that honestly make this thing absolutely insane.